As our forms get more complex, managing the form state with the state hook can become time-consuming and error-prone. For every input field, we have to set two attributes, onChange and value. This is where we can use a popular library called React Hook Form. With this library, we can quickly build forms with less code. So let's open up the terminal and install React-Hook-Form version 7.43. All right, now back to our component. On the top, we're going to import a custom hook from this library. It's called useForm. Next, we call useForm to get a form object. Before going further, let's inspect this form object to see what properties and methods it has. Look, in this object, we have a bunch of properties and methods. For example, we have the register method for registering our input fields with React Hook Form. We also have reset, reset field, set error, set focus, set value, and so on. So we have a bunch of functions for programmatically controlling our form. So back to our code, let's destructure this form object and grab the register function. And over here, we call register. We give it an argument, which is the name of an input field. Let's say name, or we could also pass age here. Let's see what we get when we call this function. So we get an object with 4 properties: name, which we just set, as well as onBlur, onChange, and ref. So React Hook Form uses reference objects to get values from input fields. So there is no re-rendering involved here. Okay. Now back to our form. Let's look at the name field. Instead of setting the onChange and value attributes here, we're going to type braces. Here we call the register function and give it a key like name. You saw that this function returns an object. So if you spread that object, all those properties that you just saw will be added to this input field. Similarly, for the age field, we no longer need to set the value and onChange attributes. Instead, we type braces. Next, we call register and pass a key, and then we spread the result. As simple as that. And that also means in this component, we no longer need to use the state hook to create a person object. So delete. And also, we don't need this handle submit anymore. We're going to come back to this shortly. So let's delete this handler, as well as this line. So we simply call useForm, grab an object, and destructure it. Now in this object, we also have a function called handle submit. To handle form submission, we call the handle submit function. And as an argument, we give it a submit handler. A submit handler is just a function that receives the data in this form. So here we can pass an arrow function that takes data. And here we can do a console.log to display the data. So when we submit the form, React Hook Form will call this arrow function. So let's fill out our form with John and 30, submit. Look, we get the same result as before, but with far less code. Now, in real-world applications, there's often more involved when submitting a form than just logging the data. So we want to implement that logic inside a separate function, like onSubmit. So onSubmit takes data, and for now, we just want to log it on the console. In the future, we're going to send this data to the server. Now here we have a compilation error because the TypeScript compiler doesn't know the type of the data parameter. To find the proper type, we hover our mouse over this parameter. Look, the type of this parameter is field values. So we wrap this in parentheses and annotate it with field values that is defined in the React Hook Form library. Okay, the error is gone. Now, instead of passing an arrow function, we pass onSubmit here. This is how we can quickly build a form using React Hook Form. But there's more to React Hook Form. We can also use it to implement validation, which we're going to look at next.